like Star Wars because they like film so much of it there, and then they come to the States after because they want all the stars to be at the premieres. So
my friend, I think in college, he was doing like abroad, and he was in Brazil, I think, and he saw Iron Man 2 like a month before it came out here.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, if only he saw a really good movie. Got him.
Iron Man 2, it's not... Well, I gotta be honest, I don't think I've seen Iron Man 2 since it came out. So.
Exactly. Got some great...
It had Sam Rockwell in it. It had to be good.
Oh, man.
I'm sure if I remembered. So, yeah.
Oh, you turned... Oh, Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know you started...
In media res.
Oh, God.
We can't do like a formal... I feel weird doing
God.
like a straight shot. Like, okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. And we're recording. Hello. Welcome.
We should just record it going 1, 2, 3.
Hello. That's how every podcast
man.
should start now. 1, 2, 3, hello. So... welcome to the... I believe we've decided on a name.
Yeah, I think we did.
We've decided on a name.
I may or may not have forgotten it. What is it again?
It's the Caravan of Courage.
Oh, yes.
The
Okay,
Caravan
I do remember now.
of Courage with Michael and Rich. I'm Michael.
Oh, yeah, and I'm Rich. Hello. all I can see is our drawn-on faces. That's all I can see.
Like, literally, I was uploading the last one, and I was like, damn, I need like a display image.
That was good restraint to not swear. You're like, gosh darn it. Gosh darn it.
So I like pulled out a notepad and I literally doodled our faces, and I was like, okay, this works.
That's better than anything. I could have spent an hour and not have done that. So, but yes, we have returned. Now this time we're gonna talk about Guardians 2. Ooh, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Mute. Oh man, so embarrassing. Yes, we're gonna talk about Guardians 2. I saw it on Thursday night. You saw it on Friday.
Yeah, I saw it Friday. The official
we're also recording this on May the 8th. So to give that some preference about where we are on time and space, just in case this doesn't get released for like another month. This is just a little...
This will be uploaded in time for, I think, Guardians Volume 3 to come out. Yeah. So we'll post it around the time the next Guardians film comes out. But yeah, so just to lay it out there really quickly, I really, really liked Guardians Volume 3 or Volume 2.
I really, really enjoyed most of it.
Right. Okay. So I watched the Guardians Thursday, and then yesterday, after getting off work, I watched the first Guardians. Mm-hmm. For the first time in like I want to say like a year and a half, probably since leaving my college town and moving out here. I kind of had the same reaction to it that I have had to like probably the Avengers. Like when I saw Avengers: Age of Ultron, I was like, this is a good movie. I enjoy this. It's a lot of fun. And then I went back and I watched the first Avengers, and I was like, oh, this movie's so good.
I got on the old Ultron like, oh, dude, this was insane. And then like I watched it like a year, like a couple months later, I was like, everything's packed in. It's like
it's totally dense. But I also feel like before I get into the issues, I feel like this podcast could be somewhat or a lot more positive than we talked about Iron Fist.
Oh man, you make good stuff and we take good stuff about it. That's really weird how that works.
The Caravan of Criticism
the Caravan
with
of
Michael
criticism.
and Rich.
It's like the alternate with just like evil mustaches. Yeah.
I'll sketch that out afterwards too.
Oh god.
No, but basically Guardians Volume 2. If you've seen the first one, let's preface this again. There's going to be so many spoilers.
I'm going to spoil the crap out of this. So hopefully you've seen it. So at least we caught it early this time before
everybody dies at the end. No.
So Rogue One.
Caravan of spoilers with Michael
Caravan
Rich.
of spoilers.
So, Guardians Volume 2, essentially, it takes place just a couple months after the first one?
I don't think they really give us a time frame, but I would assume about that.
Okay, in the opening, the first scene, it's a flashback to 1980, right?
Yes.
And it's, Ego and Peter's mom, like, in the woods. And then it flashes, it says 34 years later, so that would be 2014, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think it just takes place. I think that's the first time a Marvel film has done that, where they don't like line it up with when it's actually been released. It only takes place like a few months. I
think a lot of parts of Doctor Strange were like meant to be before.
Right, because in it he's like training with. You assume he's been in there at least like a year or two.
And I believe Thor is going to start off right when Thor leaves. Yeah, when Thor like
after
right
Age of Ultron.
Yeah, so like they have their little conversation.
He got in the jacuzzi in there, and then he saw that vision, and then they fought the robots, and then it would be Ragnarok. Interesting,
because that's where he sees all the stuff about Loki and his dad.
I'm excited for that, but I can't get off track now.
All right.
Guardians-wise, it takes place just a few months after, and then we see that the Guardians have kind of like developed this. They've bonded more. They're out.
Well, I will say this: like comparing the Guardians to the Avengers, like the Guardians actually seem like they could eventually be friends with each other. I feel like the Avengers, like as awesome as like they all are individually, it's just, we have never had like truly time other than that one scene where they're all like drinking together and trying to pick up Thor's hammer. That's like, we're buddy now.
That was their moment. After that, it just
we're buddy. Like, and there's like individual relationships like Cap and Widow and Cap and Bucky. And like even like Hawkeye and Scarlet Witch,
Widow, and Vision and Scarlet Witch.
But like, there's never like a big like group dynamic that's not just them fighting in a circle.
Right. I feel like the Guardians know that they're different people, and they can kind of accept that, and they just accept that they're all a-holes.
Yeah. So I think their dynamic is like instantly better than the Avengers. Not saying the Avengers are like terrible or anything, but I always feel that the Guardians just have so much. They've done so much more with so much less. Like, you know, they didn't have their own individual stories. So
no,
I think props to James Gunn for, you know, making me care about these people. You know, especially at the end of this movie, especially at the end of Guardians Volume 2, which we'll get to.
There's major feels moments.
Oh yeah, for sure. Just want to start running through what we like, what we didn't like.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I mean, like if you have to judge like a Guardians movie, I guess the first thing you have to look at is the soundtrack, and you know. I really enjoyed the soundtrack. I might enjoy the soundtrack more than the first one. I guess the first one maybe had more iconic style songs.
Yeah.
But I think I enjoyed like the placement of these songs in the second one a little better.
And I feel like they incorporated it more so into the plot with like Ego talking about the music and everything.
And also one thing I think of for sure is, oh man, I wish I could remember. I was thinking about it when the credits were going on. In a movie where there's a big, you know, soundtrack with a bunch of people, like, a bunch of recording artists doing them, and you're picking and choosing songs. The, like, orchestral score always seems to get lost, like the person who does the composing for all the scenes that doesn't have that music. I liked a lot of the songs. I liked a lot of the orchestral parts of Guardians, for sure. I wish I could remember the...
Tyler Bates?
Tyler Bates? Maybe.
Yeah, I really liked... In the first one, he did, like... I'm assuming it was Groot's theme. Yeah. It was like the part when he like lights up in the middle of the dark.
Yeah.
That sticks out in my mind from the first movie.
Yeah, and I think that's like a really undersung thing, because, you know, we could talk all in all about, oh man, I like The Chain, I like Fox on the Run, I like all that sort of stuff. But, you know, that the orchestral stuff doesn't get as much, because we're always talking about all the popular songs. Maybe that's just the music teacher in me thinking about that, but... You know, it does add a ton.
What do you think of like the new Guardian, like the new characters, not just the Guardians, but Ego and
like
Taserface?
Taserface was good. Taserface was real cool. I think he.
I think we'll look back. Surprised me.
Yeah, I think we'll look back and we'll think like maybe Taserface is a little underrated. Like there's performances here that are overshadowed, especially like I think Yondu and Kraglin and all the other characters. I think they sort of shadowed Taserface. But every time Taserface was on screen, I like was smiling and laughing.
I love how they took like characters from the first volume that you kind of not throw away, but they obviously didn't shine, like Kraglin and even to a degree Yondu and Nebula, and they like expanded so much on their characters, and they gave them really like heartfelt moments.
Yeah, that's one thing that I think they did in the story awesome, like just really awesomely, is every character like found their like emotional crux in the whole thing.
And there was a lot of like soul bearing in this movie.
Yeah.
There were a few moments in the first one, but there was such a polarization where it was like super funny. Like there were way more jokes in Volume 2 than the first movie, and then there were a lot more like moments where stuff just got real. Yeah.
Oh, really real. But yeah, I totally agree with that. And you know, it's like the sequel formula of doing something bigger and having more jokes and having all this sort of stuff involved to make it seem, oh, this is why it's the sequel. It's huge.
Right. Like with Star Wars. Like Star Wars made the world, and then Empire like made it human.
Yeah.
So obviously Gunn was kind of drawing off of that. You had like all these family relationships with like Peter and Ego, and then you had like Nebula and Gamora.
Yeah, a lot of different, and even like camaraderie moments between like Yondu and Rocket. I think that was by far the most out of nowhere. Because I mean, you knew from the trailers that Ego and Star-Lord are going to talk.
You kind of figured from the start that it was going to be like, oh, Peter's going to accept them, and then something's going to go wrong, and they're going to have a falling out. But you didn't really expect Yondu and Rocket to sort of have that connection.
Yeah, and I liked how they made that. And same thing about the Avengers. I can't really think of many memorable scenes between some characters with each other, but I can maybe just because I've seen Guardians 2 and I like Guardians 1 is like my favorite Marvel movie, is I can remember an interaction between each character and someone else. Like Star-Lord has an interaction with all different ones that all the different other Guardians and Yondu and everything like that.
Yeah, and then I think another relationship we didn't mention was the whole Drax and Mantis.
Oh yeah! Oh my
gosh! Their moments were
so
golden.
Funny. They're so funny. Yeah. Drax was really good. Like I think they gave Drax like the most comedic weight because he had the least amount of like emotional weight, which is.
You heard his laugh so many times in this movie, which was great every time.
Yeah. So and I think it's smart that they're making Drax kind of the comedic because I feel like in Infinity Wars, I mean, he kind of has the most to lose because Thanos killed his family. So
do you think that Drax is gonna die in Infinity War? Because I feel like if one Guardian in Infinity War were to like sacrifice himself, have like his arc complete, to the point where he could die, it would probably.
I mean, he has the highest. He definitely has the highest probability. I was gonna assume that Yondu was just gonna become part of Guardians like full time, just like how he was in like the original.
I got the feeling like from the start, like when they show him on I don't remember the planet where he runs into
Sylvester Stallone's character.
Yeah, Starhawk.
Yeah.
Sakaar. I think that's the same person. Like, there's a moment where basically his conflict was with Peter and kind of trying to accept the fact that he loved him, and then in the end he admits that, and then, well, you already spoiled it, but he sacrifices himself and dies. I kind of got the hint of that. I wasn't completely sure.
Like, halfway through, when I'm like, man, they're really giving Yondu a lot of stuff to do. I could kind of see the writing on the wall. Like, sometimes when you see all that sort of stuff happening, you're like...
Right.
Yeah, this is all coming close. And we have to talk about the relationship between Yondu and Star-Lord. Like, especially at the end, maybe your father, but he ate your daddy. Like, that was a really good line. I really agree with that.
I really like how they built off of that with the first one. Like I said, I just rewatched it, and they keep talking about how Yondu's soft on him, and then at the end when he gets like the troll doll, when it was swapped out for the Infinity Stone, I just watching that and then knowing how Volume 2 ended, I was like, there was more weight to it.
Yeah, like they did a really good job of carrying things over. And that's one thing about the movie I really, really enjoyed was they could have just rehashed Guardians 1 and been like. And have like almost identical. It would have been a great story, but it's a completely different story, which is cool. And the story sometimes has its own flaws, and we can get to those. But for sure, I applaud them for doing something completely different, where it's less of a we got to get the stone, because they could have easily made it about let's get another Infinity Stone and let's chase for it and fight the bad guys, and then have a climactic battle for the stone, and then give it to the Kree or give it to the Collector or whoever. Yeah, but they didn't.
No, they did not.
Which is for both good and bad.
What did you think about Kurt Russell as Ego? As we found out, the Celestial.
Yeah, that was cool. The Celestial. I mean, maybe it's just me in personal, but I hate omnipotent heroes and villains. Like,
so you're not like a Superman fan?
I am not. I'm a big fan of Clark Kent.
Okay, that's fair.
But I'm not a big fan of Superman. I like my heroes to have some flaws and stuff like that. I'm not a big fan of this is my planet, I control all of it. And the same thing. I'm not a big fan of Hulk because it's just like he just gets madder.
It's madder, just gets stronger.
Yeah. So I don't really like that so much. I think Ego was really he had his own dialogue, but a lot of the dialogue was like exposition.
Yeah, it didn't have a lot of emotion to it.
Yeah,
a lot of substance.
Some scenes did, like when he talked about his mother and stuff like that, and like when the plan actually come together. There were like audible gasps in the theater when everyone's like, "Oh yeah, so he put the tumor in her head and stuff like that." that was like, whoa.
I completely agree with you. Like, there were issues with Ego, but I feel like it was his introduction into the movie that kind of made it feel off the whole time, because he kind of just shows up, saves him, and he's like, come to my planet. And there was some pushback. Like, there are people that are
for
like,
sure, there was a ton
Peter,
of
what are you doing? I feel like there should have been a more maybe heroic moment where you see, I mean, he obliterates the...
I'll talk about the Sovereign later.
The Sovereign?
The Sovereign later. I'll talk about them.
He obliterates the Sovereign, and then he kind of shows up on the planet they crash land on. I feel like maybe if they had altered that heroic moment, it would have made me... Because you kind of figured from that point that he shows up and he's like the yuppie, like, space traveler with his servant lady, that you're kind of like, okay, he can't be that nice.
Yeah.
Something bad's going to happen.
But one thing, but on that note of Ego, I liked how the trailers were like pretty much the beginning of the movie and a little bit of the end of the movie, where you couldn't figure out where in the movie it was.
They had like blips of action. From like the last.
Yeah, I really enjoyed how the trailer was maybe the first hour of the movie, except for the duct tape scene and stuff like that. And the tape scene was much longer in the movie.
Yeah.
I really in a day and age where everything's getting spoiled so much, in the trailers, to be like, oh, we got to get this person into the movie. I really enjoyed how they sort of kept most of it under wraps. Especially like a lot of the Yondu stuff. Like, if you watch those trailers, you could not have thought, oh man, Yondu and Kraglin are going to have a big part in this. But yeah, that was a nice surprise compared to maybe other trailers. Like the Spider-Man trailer from like a couple months ago that showed like a lot. Like, and I'm hoping
I'm assuming that
I'm hoping that
the total inclusion of Tony Stark in it. They said, who was it? I want to say Kevin Feige said that Iron Man wasn't going to be in the movie a lot. So maybe we just saw everything that Iron Man, because we saw him in the car with Peter. We saw him put the boat back together, and then
I didn't like that trailer, because like, you get your suit, give me the suit, redemption storyline, get the suit back.
Yeah, it's like they kind of
and I hope that's not the whole movie, and it could be the whole movie to be fine, but
that doesn't mean that they should have showed it in the trailer.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, Ego was hit or miss with me, as in 9 out of 10 Marvel baddies, especially with like such like an omnipotent one.
I'll say that he was probably the most interesting, seeing as he was the first time we had
he had the most backstory of any of them.
Yeah, they definitely dove into the backstory, but as far as like cosmic like space villains go, we had Ronan, who was literally cookie cutter like fighter.
Yeah, and that was Lee Pace, right?
Yeah,
and he's awesome.
He's great.
I know, he's real awesome.
But as far as like flat Marvel villains go,
like, I mean, I took Ronan as like the straight guy, like the straight in like a big comedy. He's like the straight man,
right? That all the comedic heroes play off of.
Yes,
with, like, the
so like Evil Drax, where he doesn't like get a lot of the jokes. He's just like, and if you look at it like that, he's a little bit better. But yeah, he is lacking a ton in that sort of stuff.
Which I guess if they had tried to like flesh his character out more, it kind of might have taken away from the comedy.
Probably Ronan the Accuser is bottom 2 or 3.
Right.
Marvel villains, and that's saying something.
Him and like Malekith.
Oh my god, that's the first thing that came by Malekith, the
who slept through half of his scenes.
Yeah, that's a good one right there. Malekith, woo, the elf.
He literally, if you rewatch that movie, he's laying down in his spaceship, sleeping half the time.
And the other half, he's CGI'd into a cloud. Oh man, because we learned nothing from Galactus. Why are all the baddies just giant dust clouds? Like, Jesus Christ.
That's why we can't have nice things. And Baby Groot actually really surprised me too.
Oh God, I thought it was going to get super annoying super fast.
Like,
Thank God it didn't.
You were like, oh my gosh, this is clearly like a marketing ploy.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of charming things, like the opening scene.
Oh,
we talk about not the opening
awesome.
scene, but like the credit scene.
Yeah, the opening credits. Yeah, that was awesome. I loved how they sort of used that. And I like how they gave him the brain of a baby.
When Gamora says hi to him.
Oh yeah! Oh my God! He just waved.
I died.
That was so funny. Oh my
man.
gosh! Yeah, Baby Groot was great. Like, oh, the mascot. That was. But yeah, that surprised me, because it can be like, not to use another Star Wars reference, but that's all I know in my life. So it could be a BB-8 or it could be a Jar Jar. You just don't know until the audience sees. Yeah, that's real right there. That's real talk. But yeah, it did become a BB-8 situation where everyone wants that sort of stuff and everyone craves. Now it's gonna be Baby Groot Palooza.
Which, I really like Groot, like regular-sized Groot, baby Groot.
I'm all about teenage Groot now. I'm all about teenage Groot.
With his growing pains.
I know. When's the Funko Pop of teenage Groot coming out? Just playing video games and being mad at the world, listening to The Cure, or something like that.
Do you think by the time Volume 3 comes out, he'll be like full grown?
Oh, please! I really hope so. Like I don't know. I think it would be a disservice not to have like big Groot for Avengers 3. Mostly because I want him to be like full size, so everyone's like, holy crap, what the hell is that? Like they have a flashback moment to Volume 1. Yeah, God. Treebeard, what are you doing here?
Well, it'll probably be like 4 or 5 years later, so.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
If they do the time jump to present time, which I feel like they clearly have to do. And how about Gamora? Or not Gamora, but, Nebula and Gamora.
We can talk about Nebula and Gamora. I like how they, for at least Gamora-wise, they, like, easing us into, like, the relationship of Star-Lord and Gamora. I think that's good. I think, I don't want her to be, like, the Fry, the forced romantic interest. Have you ever heard that pun?
No, I haven't.
No, it's called the FRI.
FRI.
Forced romantic interest. Like it's like always in movies, like these.
There's the what's the test called?
Oh my gosh!
The one about where it's like two females in a show.
Yeah.
Or like a piece of test.
Okay, it's something similar to that. I know exactly what you're talking about. Though.
Okay, if you're listening and you don't know what we're talking about, there's this test that you can put any like piece of like story, book, TV, movie. It's really very seldom that you have two female characters talking and they don't have that conversation center around like a male character. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of a test as to how well-rounded like a female's personality, their character is in a movie.
It's like the Bechdel test.
The Bechdel test.
Bechdel
test. And I feel like Guardians did a really good job of just showing the relationship between Gamora and Nebula without it. I mean, to a degree, it had to do with Thanos. But they obviously had a history with rivalry, and but
I don't think there was much conversation in the movie that didn't involve a parent figure.
True.
Whether we talk about Star-Lord's mom or Gamora's dad or Thanos or Drax's kids.
It was definitely a theme in the movie.
Yeah, like, it's less of they were talking about a man, more toward they were talking about a family member.
Right.
Almost every conversation had at least a bit of it.
And Yondu and Rocket, I mean, not so much parents, but kind of their upbringing, or at least on Rocket's end.
Yeah, it's like more as like kindred souls or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Which just added weight to the death more.
And I liked, it's not really a swerve, but more of the Nebula just wanted a sister, and Gamora was just like not feeling that with Thanos. I think I like that turnaround.
Like how it kind of flipped Gamora as like she was in the wrong.
The entire movie, in both 1 and 2, Nebula's like, oh, I'm mad at you and we gotta fight and all that sort of stuff. When, in theory, like, Gamora is kind of the cause of it all. So I liked that take on it. I still think Nebula overacted a little too much. Like, I like Karen Gillan. She's awesome, but I feel like some parts are just like...
I mean, there was a moment in the first Guardians where Nebula literally leaves Gamora in space to die. And then just flies off. So, they definitely built on... I feel like James Gunn knew that he was going to do this in Volume 2. He definitely mapped it out so that he could build off of the stuff that happens in the first one. Did I mention Guardians is my favorite Marvel movie?
Oh, hey, I already did, so it's fine.
Oh, right.
I already did, so it's fine.
I love that.
With Mantis, we haven't talked about Mantis yet, really. I thought she was a fine character. I liked her play off of Drax. It's sort of like neither of them really know what's going on, and they have such different takes
they
on
were like
everything.
the more innocent, like kind of. It was like watching two like children talk to each other.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Which was great.
Yeah, and I did like the actress who played her. Mantis also, for me, just wasn't in it enough. And if she was in it, she was just like kind of the butt of the jokes.
Right. Well, I feel like Marvel's done that a lot with the kind of like it almost seems like they're shoehorning them in.
Yeah. And like
Hawkeye and Thor.
And they really just had hey, this is what happened. Ego found me, and
You're like, you needed a reason to.
Yeah, and then she's like, oh yeah, now I'm his reason to fall asleep and all that sort of stuff. I hope to see.
I got a Bjork vibe. Did you get Bjork?
A little bit. Not until you said it, but as soon as you told me that, now I feel it. Now I can totally see what you're saying.
Yeah, just the weird, like Bjork is almost an alien in herself. So
yeah, and I actually think a lot of the Mantis Drax scenes worked. They felt they didn't feel forced.
Somebody that I was talking to at work today, I was talking to them about Guardians, and they said their issue with the movie was that there are too many like jokes per second.
Oh, I can totally understand. Like I would say the jokes in Guardians hit like 95% of the time, but the fact that there's 8 million of them a second.
Right, there were a scene or two where they could have like cut the jokes by 5 or 10 seconds.
Yeah, and it still had emotional weight from a lot of the movie, but there were a lot of clips. Like,
do you think maybe the editors and Gunn were like watching the scenes and they're like, there's so much good stuff that we can't kill these darlings here.
I give them all like James Gunn and Marvel in general. You know, they haven't made like a massive flop that just like I hate.
Oh no, even their worst film is still enjoyable.
So I try to give them the benefit.
Thor: The Dark World.
I try to give them the benefit of the doubt, but at the same time, we can criticize them and not feel like, oh, we're jerks. We spent my ticket was like $14 for the movie, so I can talk about how I want. But yeah, I do think there were maybe 10 jokes too many or like 15 jokes too many. But you got to think in the movie they must have had 100 jokes. 100 jokes or like side gags or something like that.
There were a few scenes where they had jokes and then they immediately cut to like an intense dramatic moment.
Yeah,
and
that's fair.
I feel like maybe it was just too much of a dichotomy.
Well, and I feel like they did that a little bit in Guardians 1. They did it way more in this movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like they talk, like in Guardians 1, when Drax talks about his family and the Rocket's like, "Boo-hoo, my family's dead."
Yeah, like, that's like the one moment.
That's like the only time it happens in there, compared to almost every it's like every. I don't want them to feel that like, oh, we're having a really emotional moment in a movie, but wait, we're in Guardians, so here's the slapstick comedy gag.
I actually haven't read a lot of the reviews for Guardians online. What are like some of the prime criticisms? I don't know if you've looked at it.
I don't either.
I used to do that. Like, I'd watch a movie, I'd enjoy it, and then I would go and I would like scour through the reviews.
You're like seeking validation. Like, yes, point, yeah. I do like this movie because of this. Actually, because of the DC movies, I don't read a lot of the reviews anymore. I just gotta go and see the movies. I just gotta go see the movies, and I'm not saying there's a biased, and I'm not saying, oh man, Disney's paying people off.
That could almost ruin like an experience for a movie. Yeah. Like if you look up a criticism, it's like somebody telling you that you have a tick when you're talking, and then that's all you can notice for the rest. And you gotta think, like if Disney's gonna have a nice big after party after the movie, they'd be like, oh man, the movie was great. I had a great time at the movie and a great time at the after party or something like that. So that can obviously weigh on stuff. And I think some people are so enamored with that Rotten Tomatoes score. I mean, like, I'll check Rotten Tomatoes, but, I hope they use it for more of I need to lower my expectations compared to... You could totally go into the movie like super excited and everything like that, and then if it has a high score, you can actually be disappointed. You're like, oh man, it has like a 92, and I feel like I didn't like it, and something. And I think that's a stupid thing. I think you should just go to the movies and enjoy it. Do you want me to drop truth right now?
Oh my god, let's hear the truth.
I wasn't a big fan of Rogue One, and I feel like that doesn't happen a lot. Like I don't often see movies that I dislike that everybody else likes.
I use the cycle of movies on the internet is a week of release. Oh my god, this movie's awesome, and then 2 weeks it's this movie stinks and this is why, and then a week after that it's like this is why these people are wrong. It's like there's a cycle of liking it, hating it, and then trying to validate why it's good, and like every year it gets like quicker and quicker. Like remember when Force Awakens came out and everyone was just like Force Awakens. And then 3 weeks later, they had, like, that guy that was like, these are all the flaws in The Force Awakens. And then, like, a week later, someone else was like, these are this guy's flaws and this guy's logic. It was, like, literally the most petty thing. Like, it's a entertainment to remove you from the outside world.
Right. It's kind of... It doesn't make sense that there's such a divisiveness, like, floating around you watching pictures that are projected onto a screen. Like, there's more important things to so deeply argue about.
Yeah, but you're absolutely wrong about Rogue One, though. But that's... oh, man. That could be a different story.
We don't make this 2-hour podcast. Come on now.
Can we start talking about the bad now? We've got 30-minute love fest.
35-minute love fest. After cutting out the dead air, it was probably like
but yeah,
20-minute love fest.
But yeah, there's a ton of good things about Guardians 2, but, not every movie is perfect. Not every movie is, is flawless. And okay, I gotta start off with the Sovereign people. Might be the worst characters ever. They might be the worst, most annoying Marvel characters ever. They were just the worst.
Oh, I gotta disagree.
Oh,
I thought they were so cool. No, because it's like the first new species and they're so different than like other. They're not like the Kree.
Yeah, they're not like fun. They're not
fun. They were just like refreshing. It was like a different look at like alien species.
I just didn't like how. I didn't mind them at the start. It's like, oh, nice, the Guardians are doing the job for these people. These, like, arrogant people.
They were mostly, like, a plot device, though.
Even less than a plot device, they were, like, action filler. It's like, we've had a lot of moments of nothing. Let's have a bunch of their silly arcade game machine flyers come in.
I thought that was so cool, though.
Like, I thought it was funny when they were pretending to play asteroids and like Space Invaders and like all that stuff.
Had, like, the video game noises.
The video game arcade feel. But by like the third time, when like I was really invested in like, okay, we got the Guardians versus Ego, let's go. Like we're gonna finally do everything. And then all of a sudden, you see the ships. Like Kraglin's like, sir, we got a lot of ships coming into the orbit, and I'm like, oh god, not these people again.
I think you're just racist against gold people.
No, dude, I love gold people.
Did you not like Aisha as a character? I mean,
I liked her when she was in the snow planet and they were rolling out the.
Oh that was such a good moment.
Because I think they're just like how big of jerks they were. It's just like, oh, I don't want to sit on your on your snow or stuff like that. Like I guess that was fine. And
does it bum you out that clearly they're gonna some element of the wait, what are they called again?
The Sovereign. Exactly. That's how memorable they are. The only reason I remember was because I just dislike them.
I said gold people, and that's all I could think of. Gold people. But
I love gold people.
Does it kind of bum you out that they're going to be like an element in Volume 3, clearly? Has it been stated that the whole like the Cocoon post-credit scene is going to play out in Volume 3 as opposed to Infinity War?
I don't think they have. I honestly haven't done any like rumor scouting, since seeing the movie. So I haven't gone to any of those type of websites. But I'm not going to be mad because they're not going to be focused on them. They're going to be focused on Adam Warlock.
Which I'm excited about. I
mean, I may not be like the comic like aficionado about Adam Warlock, but doesn't he normally carry an Infinity Stone with him?
He does. Well, he has basically the Vision in the movies right now is essentially Adam Warlock because he has the stone in his forehead.
Yeah.
And I think Adam Warlock is the keeper of whatever stone that is. And I know some of Adam Warlock from the comic books, but I don't know a whole lot because he was introduced in the 70s around the same time Thanos was. Mm-hmm. And I think he ended up dying, and then he was brought back. And whenever the Guardians comic came out, that kind of inspired James Gunn's take in the movies. And I know of that Adam Warlock, and I know he has like a dark version of himself. There's a Mr. Hyde called the Magus, and I feel like that's probably like the take they're gonna use.
It's gonna be like that 6 episodes of Green Ranger and the Power
Green with Envy.
Green with Envy.
Green with Envy.
Yes,
I had those on VHS. I bought them.
I watched them on Netflix like 2 months ago. They're still great.
Yep. So if you're listening, James Gunn, Green with Envy, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Yeah. Adam Warlock should literally just be Jason David Frank. I would be, dude. I would legit lose my mind.
Start playing a flute dagger.
Yeah. That'd be so good.
Who do you think should play Adam Warlock? I was looking up today. A lot of people online are saying Alexander Skarsgård.
Okay, I would be against him. I just want a good actor.
Do you think that when McConaughey was up for a role in Volume 2 that it was for Adam Warlock? Because James Gunn said that he was originally supposed to be in Volume 2, but then he didn't want to go all Spider-Man 3 and have too many characters.
I would have been pumped if Matthew McConaughey was Ego.
If
he was Ego, I'd be like, I'm your daddy, Peter. Like, it'd be so good. Can you just hear it in his voice? Like, I have a terrible McConaughey accent.
Yeah, you kind of sounded more like Cleveland.
Yeah. Yeah, because I hate taking baths during Peter's shenanigans.
Okay, but now do Cleveland as Ego.
Okay, I can't think of any good quotes. I'll think about it. Let me think about it. Because I don't want to be that's why I put that tumor in her hand. Yeah, Sovereign were terrible. I don't care what you say.
What are some other things that you hate that I might not?
That you might not? I guess something that I felt like it's tough when you have a mega superstar like Chris Pratt, and it's a movie about 5 people, but you have to so focus on one character of the 5. I think that took away from the movie a little bit.
Oh, so you think they didn't focus enough? You know what? I was surprised.
I enjoyed the parts where, and I guess it's for most of the middle of the movie, is when, Groot, Rocket, and Yondu and everything like that, they were on their own adventure while Drax, Gamora, and Star-Lord. There wasn't a moment where I was like, oh man, I'm tired of this storyline, I want to see the other story. I was invested in both stories, because one was more serious and one was more comedic. And I think that was really cool. But at the same time, it was a lot about Star-Lord. And I love Star-Lord. I'll be the first, I cosplay as Star-Lord. I love it. But at the same time, it's I wanted to learn a little bit more. And at the end of the day, and this is going to be a common thing that I'm going to assume a lot of people will say, they end up where they started off. I think...
As in, their characters didn't really grow that much?
Their characters grew, but... in the Marvel timeline of things remain stagnant. If we did a predictions video for Guardians 2, we would have been which Infinity Stone are they going to reveal? If Thanos is 100% going to show up, right? He's going to show up. Yeah. The only reason that people know about Thanos is because their nerdy friend tells them how good Thanos is. It's wait, he's going to do some crazy stuff. He's been sitting in a chair for 10 movies. He's got a gold glove and gold.
Okay. Enough with the golden. Enough with the golden.
Made by the Sovereign.
I feel like James Gunn said a few months ago, though, or maybe a year ago, that Thanos wasn't really going to play a part in Volume 2.
But that sort of leads us to a point where, oh man, because we have 4 of the 5. We have 4 Infinity Stones right now. We have 1 more.
We have 5.
We have 5.
There's 6.
Yeah, there's 1 more.
The Loki staff.
Yeah.
We got the Cosmic Cube.
Mm-hmm.
We got the Ether.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the Eye of Agamotto.
Mm-hmm. And the Power Stone.
And the Power Stone. They call it something else in Guardians. I mean, the orb, whatever.
Yeah, the orb.
So yeah, we have 1 more, which I'm assuming is going to be in Thor Ragnarok. Which, by the way, the Jeff Goldblum cameo.
Yeah,
that was great in the end credits of Volume 2. He's dancing. In case you didn't catch it the first time, they show him dancing in the credits.
But yeah, I didn't really like the misbalance of characters. I feel especially towards the end, they're quick, we have to wrap up a lot of stuff really quick at the end so we can get to the end story.
Yeah, I mean, the only Guardian added to the roster, full time, was Mantis, and just because she had nowhere to go.
Yep, and we don't really know a lot about Mantis other than, she's really innocent and stuff like that. We will learn a little bit about her backstory, but so it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, because I thought Nebula was going to stay, then Nebula left, and...
She'll be back. Maybe she'll die in Infinity War.
That's so lame. No offense, we need characters we're invested in. I'm not saying I'm not invested in Nebula, but if they kill Drax, it'd make more sense. It's is anyone really still upset that Quicksilver died in Age of Ultron?
Was anybody ever upset that he died in Ultron?
Probably Aaron Taylor Johnson's mother, her father figure, the parental units. They were probably sad. Aaron Taylor Johnson probably was man, I wish I could get more money. So I would be really sad if I died in the first Avengers movie.
He probably had some sort of conversation with Evan Peters on the phone.
Yeah. It's just all right, how'd you do that scene in Days of Future Past? Okay, cool, thanks.
Calls back a week later. Oh, so I finished the script,
Yes,
Evan.
I finished the script, and my scene's going to be a blast.
You're not going to see it coming.
Yeah. Oh, God.
But I mean, Thanos is obviously a big part of the Infinity Saga, and Gamora and Nebula play a big part of that. I mean, they're related to him.
Yep.
So I feel like there's going to be at least some conflict going on with those characters in Avengers. I mean, as much as they can have with 800 casts.
I think the emotional stuff is going to switch. At least I hope it does. Where Rocket and Star-Lord are going to be the super comedic people. And Groot still as well. He'll be comedic. But then Gamora and Drax will have the emotional, sort of weight. Which is cool.
It's because they're rooted more in the Thanos.
Yeah. No, and I think it's a really good thing. But and I want to see Star-Lord a little bit more
if
less
any big plot point they would have for Star-Lord in Infinity War would be his reintroduction to Earth culture.
I think it'd be the funniest thing if Captain America teaches him.
Oh man, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
Yeah, I think that'd be real fun to see Captain America sort of teach Star-Lord, this stuff. Oh my, like the Zune. Oh my god, get that man an iPod.
Do you think the Zune is gonna go the way of like the McDonald's Szechuan sauce with Rick and Morty?
Let me tell you something. If you go online and look up like the Sony Walkman from Guardians 1, you should see the price that thing was going on eBay. It was like $5,000, $6,000. I bet you if you went on eBay and you checked out Zune prices, I bet you like just because cosplayers and stuff like that, they would rocket up in price.
Haha, pun intended?
No.
Pun not intended? Oh.
God, no.
Fair.
But yeah, like I did enjoy both storylines, but at the end of the day, it was like a little too much.
It was a little disjointed, definitely.
And as you said, a couple of the different jokes hit and miss.
I mean, they were funny. It wasn't that they weren't funny; it's just that there were so many of them.
Yes. And I feel like once you have too many jokes, it sort of steers clear of what was actually awesome of the jokes in the first one. Marvel has weak villains. They don't spend enough time on their villains. We don't need to,
How do you think this is gonna? We didn't do a podcast, unfortunately, because we're terrible with planning these things, and we're just busy all the time. Our schedules never line up. We never did a review of the Thor Ragnarok trailer, which is probably the best trailer that I have seen since like the first Watchmen teaser trailer. I don't know if you remember when that came out. It premiered with The Dark Knight.
Yeah, no, I saw Watchmen opening night.
The Watchmen trailer, and then I think the girl with the dragon tattoo one, like the first teaser they had with the Trent Reznor and Karen O's Immigrant Song. Oh wait,
I know.
Yeah, maybe Immigrant Song makes great trailers.
How do you feel about just every trailer just like, hey, put that classic song on it?
I'm okay if it works. I mean, Immigrant Song is probably like, if you're gonna put a classic like rock song on a Thor movie trailer, Immigrant Song is the best choice.
Probably. Because it's actually involving that sort of stuff.
Yeah, like Valhalla, Vikings, etc. But my point was, how do you think that's going to tie into the Guardians universe?
Well, one thing, when the Thor Ragnarok trailer, like, some people were like, man, that looks a lot like Guardians. And I was like, well, yeah, because they want to be in the same universe. So I like that it's colorful, it's that same style. Yeah, the retro style. How do I think it's going to fit in Guardians?
Yeah.
Probably somewhere between the mid and end credits.
So you think there's going to be a cameo or two?
There's got to be.
Maybe the Nova. Maybe
Nah, I don't think we'll see.
How would you feel if
like Nova Corps or like the Nova, like Dick Ryder, like Richard Ryder.
That would be an interesting introduction.
Richard Ryder's in it. There's no way.
It's Phase 4.
Phase 4.
I feel like is the earliest we'd be able to see.
They would do Sam Alexander beforehand,
which makes me really sad, but it's 100% true.
Yeah, they would definitely do.
You don't need, because Richard Ryder he would be just a Star-Lord copy in the MCU.
Yep.
It's just a human in space. Whereas Sam Alexander, do you remember the movie Star Kid in the 90s? It had the kid from Jurassic World, and a space alien suit lands in his town, and then he wears it. That's essentially Sam Alexander is Star Kid. Look it up.
I have not seen Star Kid. I'll have to check it out.
It's one of those like sci-fi kid movies from the 90s.
Oh man, so the good quality movies.
One of those so bad it's good.
Oh, okay, all right. Now you've piqued my interest.
It's like Guyver meets Iron Man.
Okay, I can see that. But yeah, if there's Nova, it's going to be Sam Alexander.
You don't think it's going to be Day?
No, it's not. But John C. Reilly?
Yeah, John C. Reilly.
I don't think it's going to be John C. Reilly.
That would be fun.
I mean, maybe like
Howard the Duck. You think Howard the Duck's going to be in Thor Ragnarok?
I think he might be in that movie. Like, he would literally be in it for a split second.
I want them to bring back the one shots and just have Howard the Duck one shots. Yeah,
that's fair. I like a lot of the Marvel one shots.
Cosmo and Howard. I want to see that one shot.
I wish there was more Cosmo. I think Cosmo is a cool character.
You want to hear him talk with his Russian accent?
Yeah,
that would be the best.
Who would they get to do?
They would have
Is
Dolph Lundgren?
Oh my god!
As the Russian in Rocky 4, that would be great.
Oh, he just goes, "I must break you."
And he have a scene with Stakar, like Sly Stallone.
Yeah,
that would be beautiful.
God.
I know they're gonna have
John Wick.
Yeah.
Is the villain from John Wick Russian? If it is, he needs to be Cosmo. It's just like really low, just like they call him Baba Yaga. More likely Howard the Duck than Nova.
And speaking of Sly Stallone, though, I don't really know a lot about the original Guardians of the Galaxy, but I know that one scene out of like the 8 post-credit scenes they have with Sly Stallone, and apparently Michael Rosenbaum was one of those.
Yes. How do you feel about that was that Ving Rhames brief cameo?
Yeah, Ving Rhames.
That
and Michelle Yeoh.
Is it still terrible that every time I see Ving Rhames, I still see Michael Clarke Duncan?
That was on the...
But,
no, he's
man.
great. Green Mile's great.
Yeah.
But I kept, on the drive home from seeing the movie, I kept saying oh, Michael Clarke Duncan. I mean Ving Rhames.
Yeah. Ving Rhames, he's in Mission Impossible. Can we get Tom Cruise in Guardians 3? Let's go. That'd be awesome.
Tom Cruise was almost Tony Stark at one point.
I know. How crazy
Brad Pitt
would
was
that be?
going to be Steve Rogers.
I know. That'd be crazy.
Back when Marvel was selling off all their properties.
Yeah.
Oof.
Dude, I love Tom Cruise.
I love Tom Cruise.
He just starts singing "You Lost That Loving Feeling" to Pepper Potts like in Top Gun.
Jumps on the couch in exclamation.
Oh my gosh.
His love for Gwyneth Paltrow.
I'm in the Avengers Initiative.
It would be the same scene. It would be Tony Stark on Oprah and Tony Stark jumping on the couch, exclaiming his love for Gwyneth Paltrow.
I was watching a YouTube show that I watched where they do different movie questions and stuff, and one of them was if they made Guardians of the Galaxy in the 1980s, who would be in it? But they were just we need to have Eddie Murphy and stuff like that, and like Eddie Murphy is Star-Lord and different things like that.
Would Arnold have been Drax? Is that what they listed as?
Some people were. They wanted a wrestler, so they had Roddy Piper.
Oh.
They had
Andre the Giant.
Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan.
I could see that.
They wanted to do that. But yeah, I'm excited to see sort of some of the original Guardians because they got to have a bigger role in 3, right?
Absolutely.
Leading up to that sort of stuff.
We need some old timers to fill that Yondu void. So
yeah, that's fair.
What do you think is going to happen? What do you think the plot of Volume 3 is going to revolve around? Clearly, Adam Warlock.
Yeah, and honestly, we don't know until we see
Infinity War. I wonder if that bothers James Gunn. He obviously has this thing mapped out, but I feel like a lot of important character beats are going to be in Infinity War.
I think he knew signing on to the project that this was going to happen.
Fair.
I can't imagine, and he probably had some sort of say in it. He's a big writing credit of it. Giddy! Cat almost destroyed the podcast.
Almost destroyed my computer.
Almost destroyed the podcast.
And the microphone. I'm calling it right now, though. Star-Lord in the Infinity War movies, he's not going to end up on Earth. He's going to run into humans for the first time in 30 years, but I feel like we're not going to see that until
4?
Until 3. Maybe the end of Volume 3 is Peter going off and having that Tony Stark Iron Man 3 moment where he heads to Earth and he kind of takes some time off? Or do you think Adam Warlock is going to try and invade Earth as the Magus?
I think in terms of Star-Lord going to Earth, he will like get to the atmosphere and then be like, I can't do this.
Oh, you think it's going to happen in Infinity War? And
he's at least going to... towards the end of 3 or the beginning of 4, Thanos has to come near Earth.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I feel like he's going to end up on Earth in at least 4.
Yeah, so I feel like Star-Lord will see Earth, think about going down there, and then won't. And then he'll have like that it's not cliche.
But they'll have to play it out in a way that doesn't seem like he's like cowarding away from fighting Thanos, though.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. That makes sense. I feel like he'll get a glimpse of Earth, but he probably won't head to it until at least Volume 3. And do you think that'll be it? Do you think the trilogy will cap it off?
Yes. There'll be new Guardians, though.
New Guardians?
Yeah. I mean, I hope that after Avengers 4, they go into New Avengers, or they go into Champions, or they go into something. I just as a personal moviegoer and a fan of comic books, I want to see something new. I can 100% understand why they want to keep Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans and all that sort of stuff.
Right, because you can stretch a timeline in a comic book. You can't have an 80-year-old Tony Stark.
I know. I think that's the only character that you can. Like, Tony Stark is like the grizzled, like, old Batman Beyond. Like,
right now in the comics, I'm pretty sure Tony's like AI. Because he's in a coma or something.
Oh, okay.
Spoilers for those comic readers.
I'm thinking of it like sort of like Batman Beyond. He's like a grizzled old guy now, and he still does quips and stuff like that. But he's like 75 years old. And he's like, I gotta get back into the suit one more time, Joe Costa, one more time.
Well, at that point, it won't be that hard to do.
I know.
Just mocap him and then just green screen with just his face.
Oh, huge pet peeve. I hate de-aging.
You do?
I hate de-aging.
But wasn't it so spectacular in
it was
the
great.
Opening of Volume 2?
Yeah, it was great, but there's something about it, I'm not a big fan of de-aging.
You think it like devalues the The performance?
No, it's just that what is it? The Uncanny Valley. You ever heard of that?
Right. If you make something artificial too realistic looking, it's just creepy as hell.
Yeah. The Uncanny Valley is like...
I feel like with Guardians, though, it was less noticeable, but in something like Rogue One with Tarkin, that weirded me out.
I mean, Tarkin was also in it way more than...
And also in like Tron Legacy, which was like 7 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
Like with the de-aged Jeff Bridges, that was creepy. I love that movie, though.
You like Tron
Legacy? How do you feel about... Not as story-wise, but just the setup for like a new Tron franchise, which they never did.
Nice franchise.
Well, it was true.
Got him.
True. I wish the U.S. got that right.
Yeah, we did. Ride a Dragon.
We got the Daft Punk soundtrack out of Tron Legacy.
Okay,
that was great. I feel like we've talked about that.
Yeah, we've talked about them before.
It's like top 5 soundtracks.
I wouldn't go that far.
No, not top 5. Top 5 soundtracks right now.
Top 5 like movie soundtracks or like
movie soundtracks. And this includes scores and awesome.
Yeah. Like I guess like off the top of my head, the first 2 is Empire Strikes Back, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Pulp Fiction, pretty much almost any Tarantino. I like Inception. I like Inception's sound.
Inception's great. Inception was like the score that I'd listen to while like writing essays in college. Yeah,
that's like a thinking man's soundtrack.
Absolutely.
I would probably put Awesome Mix 1 or 2 on it as well. I mean, that's just off the top of my head. If you give me 30 minutes to think about it, I will get a better scores. But yeah, like off the top of my head, just those, especially like Pulp Fiction kind of wrote the book on how to do soundtracks.
For me, it would be like The Social Network, Tron Legacy. I really, really like the Vangelis like Blade Runner soundtrack.
Okay.
Which, by the way, the trailer for 2049 dropped today.
I've only seen it once, so I can't I've only watched.
Oh, you've only seen the Blade Runner once?
Oh no! I've only watched the trailer once.
Oh, okay.
I've seen like 2 of the 59 versions of Blade Runner. I think I've seen the director's cut and then the Ultimate Super Saiyan 5 director's cut.
I have like the Ultimate Edition that has like I want to say like 4 or 5 of the versions. I've never seen the version with like the voiceover, where Harrison Ford apparently sounds like he's sleeping.
So just normal Harrison Ford?
Yeah, but okay, Harrison Ford, if I were to have somebody do a voiceover, my first thought would definitely not be Harrison Ford.
I just wish hopefully one day I can be as old as Grumpy as Harrison Ford, but still be beloved by everyone. That's the real secret of Harrison Ford, man.
He just wants to do some carpentry stuff.
Yeah.
Assuming he wants to sit in his shop.
Who else was a carpenter? Jesus. So that was a great meme I've seen the other day. Oh man.
Right, my top 5: Social Network, Inception, Daft Punk, Empire. I would probably agree with, and Blade Runner probably wouldn't be my top 5
because Empire had
the Imperial March, yeah, and the asteroid.
Yep, the asteroid chase.
Yeah, that was.
I think that's an underrated song. And I mean, if I have to add another one, I'd be like Lion King, something like that. Something that's actually
the Tarzan soundtrack. That's my
favorite, but I think like the most like impactful is like probably Lion King. I mean, I love Phil Collins, so. People are like, well, it's not as fun. It's just Phil Collins singing instead of other people. I'm like, no, that's why it is awesome. Because it's just Phil Collins.
Phil Collins is awesome because he looks like a dad, but he's still so cool.
He's like a rock god, but he's just a guy on the street.
But yeah, he looks like he goes and gets groceries on Friday.
Oh my gosh, yes.
He's got a jar of mayonnaise.
It's like literally, I think I've seen him in the line for Publix for a pub sub or something. Like
in the background, he just hears you like 2 worlds, 1 family.
2 subs, living in just 1 mind.
He's like, damn it! I just want my chicken tender pubs up.
Publix is a supermarket chain in the South. If you did not know,
yes, they're great.
It's like Stop and Shop or a Big Y or Geisler's.
I'm from North Carolina, and my college town just recently got their first Publix.
Oh my gosh!
Right after I moved down here. Piggly Wiggly's gross, by the way.
I just like the name. It's like a Winn-Dixie.
There was a fad going on in the high schools of North Carolina after I'd already graduated, where it was just cool for the cool kids to wear Piggly Wiggly shirts, ironically. And I just rolled my eyes because that was the life that I lived my whole life.
Oh, man. Also, I hope that you can hear me from all the way back here. That's my... I was like, man, I'm really far behind. I'm really far back from the microphone. Somebody'd have to like, jack me up 10,000 decibels to hear me.
Yeah, Rich has been standing 10 feet back against the wall the whole time, just staring out the window.
Thinking about life and how much I hate the Sovereign. Just...
Any last words?
We should get back on the Guardians 2 track.
Yeah, we totally got off the road. We got as far as Piggly Wiggly.
Yeah, no. But yeah, Guardians 2, while I think it took brand new risks, which is what I do like, especially in superhero movies where so much of it is like a lack of creativity, I think it's a really great addition. I think Guardians is on its way to having one of the best trilogies of all time.
Yeah, I would say that out of like the Avengers, Iron Man, I feel like it's had one of the strongest sequels of the.
Let me get really close to the mic when I say this part. The Captain America trilogy is better than the Dark Knight trilogy, so you can park that.
Dark Knight Rises kind of soiled that. I mean, I like that movie, but I totally agree with you about Captain America.
Like I watched The Dark Knight a little while ago, and it's still a fantastic movie. I just don't think it's like the end all be all movie like anymore. Like in 2000, it's weird to think Iron Man came out the same year as Dark Knight. The Dark Knight was like, oh my god, The Dark Knight was, the most incredible thing. And Heath Ledger is still freaking awesome in Dark Knight. I don't want to take anything away from his performance, but,
I would disagree. I love Dark Knight.
I mean, I'm not saying I hate The Dark Knight.
Why do you hate The Dark Knight,
Oh
Rich?
my god, dude. I'm here to be the bad guy in the podcast, just crap all over The Dark Knight. No, The Dark Knight's freaking awesome. But I think some parts of it have not stood the test of time compared to other things.
That's fair. I mean,
personally, I hate that they just used Harvey Dent at the end and then...
You feel like the third act was kind of... suffered.
Yeah, just like how Venom should have been in Spider-Man 4, Harvey Dent should have been the bad guy in, Dark Knight Rises. Not saying Bane was bad. I actually like Bane. I like a little Sean Connery accent.
I feel like Chris Nolan had the opposite of... Wasn't Two-Face supposed to be in 3? In Rises?
I hope so. I wish. I wish they would have gotten Billy D back.
Yeah, it was like the reverse of Adam Warlock.
Yeah, Billy D. Williams.
Oh, you're referring to the Tim Burton.
Yeah, he should have came back. Dude, Billy D. Williams played Two-Face in Lego Batman. That was that was one of the highlights. Lego Batman is awesome. You should 100% see Lego Batman.
Would you say that's better than The Dark Knight?
Oh my god, no! The Dark Knight's still a really freaking amazing movie, but
I haven't seen Lego Batman. I don't know. Everybody tells me it's really good.
Like The Dark Knight will always be held in high regards because of re-put superhero movies on the map.
Okay, who's better? Chris Pratt as Star-Lord or Heath Ledger as Joker?
Heath Ledger as Joker.
Okay, what about Christian Bale as Batman?
Oh my god, absolutely Chris Pratt.
Oh.
Christian Bale.
Okay, what if he did? What if Christian Bale didn't talk as Batman?
My issue is Christian Bale is like a kind of believable Batman, but I do not believe he's Bruce Wayne for a moment. He looks like that's the thing with Batman. You gotta. Like, Val Kilmer's Bruce Wayne is better than Christian Bale's Bruce Wayne.
What about George Clooney?
George Clooney is
the
best Batman. I love all how he goes around apologizing for Batman and Robin. Oh, it's so good. But probably George Clooney's probably the worst of all of them. Like, in both Bruce Wayne and Batman. And literally, George Clooney is Bruce Wayne. He was the eligible bachelor in the 90s. He could have been Batman for all we know.
Well, I was going to say that...
That's typecasting.
I liked him as Bruce Wayne, but I feel like he didn't do a lot of acting.
He doesn't need to when he's himself.
No, he just walked...
Same thing with Robert Downey Jr. He literally is playing himself.
True. But I love RDJ.
But, same. But I think Ben Affleck's a better Bruce Wayne and Batman than Christian Bale.
I haven't seen any of the... Since Man of Steel, I haven't seen Suicide Squad or Batman vs. Superman yet. But based off of what you said, do you think they're fun?
I think they are movies that 100% have the right idea with poor execution. Batman v Superman has the right idea. Suicide Squad is... you should definitely see Batman v Superman.
All right, I'll put that on my list.
If not, because you're going to laugh at some things.
So yeah, I'll definitely watch it.
You should do a before and after. You should, talk about it before, and then watch it, and then do an after thing. Put that on the channel. There you go.
I like it.
I've seen there was a YouTuber, God, I can't remember. they would drive to the movie theater and have a mounted webcam on their car, so they would like talk about it on the way to the movie, and then as they were driving home, they talk about it. Yeah, I wish I could remember who did that, because it was a really cool series. I don't think they do it anymore. We should do something not like similar, because I don't want to steal other people's ideas, but
right. I mean, I don't want to keep this just like a straightforward review podcast. I like that idea.
Yeah,
like not just reviewing new films.
Man, I can review Star Wars stuff. It's all I do with my life.
I haven't seen Rebels, so.
Oh, you should see definitely watch Rebels. Rebels is great. But yeah, back to Guardians 2.
I mean, I feel like we've covered the majority of it.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think we've covered a lot of it. I definitely recommend you see it. It's weird that's the 15th Marvel movie. 15. And we're still excited about these things.
Right.
When was the last time you were excited for anything? Like 15 of something, you know? Exactly.
When I turned 15 so I could get my learner's permit.
Oh, my
Probably.
gosh. I didn't get my learner's permit until at least 16. But yeah, I totally recommend you see Guardians 2. If you like the first one, you're most likely you're gonna enjoy the second one. It's a funny movie that still has some emotional punch. Do you need to see the first one to see this one?
I feel like there's a lot more payoff if you do.
Yes, but I think you could go into the movie cold turkey and just...
I mean, they cover a lot of it.
And there's a lot of things like that. It's like, oh, Nebula, your sister, or things like that. I think you'll get a lot of more enjoyment if you see the first one, but I think you could take someone who hasn't seen a Marvel movie to do that.
I would agree with that.
Oh man! All right, so I think that's all we got for today. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, dislike me for hating the Dark Knight or Gold People.
Or the Sovereign.
The Sovereign. And, no, didn't like me for that.
I formally apologize for criticizing Piggly Wiggly. For all those hardcore pig fanatics out there who love sticking with the pig. Sorry about that.
All right. Thanks so much, everybody. Until next time, have a great night.
And
1, 2, 3.
And we're done.